Jeremy Corbell. So this is part 2. We're not going to do a whole new intro and all that. We're just going to continue to speak a little bit about Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell. And what we have, it says here that Bob Lazar, and this is the Joe Rogan Experience number 1315, Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell. Bob Lazar is a physicist who worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, and also on reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology at a site called S4 near the Area 51 Groom Lake operating location. Jeremy Corbell is a contemporary artist and documentary filmmaker, which the documentary Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers, now streaming on Netflix. So there you have it. Just a brief description of what the JRE is, what number 1315 is as far as who are on it. And this is what I would like to see. I bet you right now that with Bob Lazar having the problems with the migraine right before coming on the show, it's not something necessarily that you can just reschedule on the fly. But I bet you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that, and this is, I hate putting the show up in 2 parts, but what I wanted to do is just look up real quick number 1315 and look up what episode I was referring to and the correct. Jeremy Corbell. My apologies. There is a Corbin, but Corbell is the Jeremy Corbell, the filmmaker, responsible for making the film. But my thinking is this: that right now, I've probably watched only about 25 minutes of it on YouTube, and I'll listen to it. It's also right here. You can listen to the Joe Rogan Experience number 1315 right here on Spreaker Podcast. Why not download the Spreaker Podcast app, the best podcasting network on planet Earth? I listen. This is what got me into it, and they've always backed me up, so I have to represent for them. Okay, so Spreaker Podcast. You can listen to the Adam Carolla show. You can listen to the Joe Rogan Experience. One of my other favorites is the Church of What's Happening Now with Joey Coco Diaz. Many other ones, like Kevin Smith has a few of them on here. Hollywood Babylon with Ralph Garman. Ralph Garman's a great impressionist and also a funny dude. But what I'm thinking right now is on JRE, the 1315, is that Bob Lazar's having a headache. He's not feeling well, and it seems like the Illuminati are just hitting that erase button or hitting that remote control to his brain, going bzz, reset, bzz, erase, bzz, created disturbance in the force around his head or something. But they did mention that they had gone out to eat. That Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell and Joe Rogan had gone out to dinner the night before they did this podcast. And I'm betting, hopefully, this is what I'm hoping. What's happening, it seems like that anytime Bob Lazar goes to recall something, he has a problem with it. And it's almost like the MK Ultra mind control. Like he's gone through the scanner and it's wiped that part of his brain so many times that it actually physically hurts to think about it. And if you don't, look up MK Ultra if you're not familiar with it. There's several different movies. Hey, there's a television app that I'll turn you all on to that's pretty badass. If you watch it, if you like documentaries, I don't know, check it out. It's called Tubi. Is that it? Tubi. Check that out and let me know what you think of it. Tubi, Tubi. Tubi television. It's like having your own cable station in your hand with your phone. And I'm not affiliated with Tubi. It just happens to be that I've used them for, I don't know, probably a year. My older brother and I both, man. Fucking, if we're at dinner, we'll put Tubi on, put something on. It's cool. Anyway, what that had to do with anything was that, oh, they have a lot of documentaries on Tubi about MK Ultra and the Illuminati and conspiracy and a lot of things that you're not going to find on YouTube, and you're definitely not going to find in our mainstream media. Just even if it's a bunch of bullshit, it's another aspect for you to just check out and see what you think, right? So I'm betting that they had probably a pretty good conversation at dinner. Bob Lazar, Jeremy Corbell, Joe Rogan, and whoever else was in that party. I'm sure that they got to add their 2 cents and ask questions and what have you. But, man, to be a fly on the wall for that conversation at their dinner would probably be more interesting than the JRE is today. Which brings me to my next question. Do y'all feel like Joe Rogan's starting to kind of filter out? Do you see sometimes the same people on there, but do you see sometimes the same, what am I getting at? Like, I think there could be a wider variety of people. I mean, fuck, the dude's #1 on the planet, okay? And I have 2 followers, so who the fuck am I, right? Who gives a shit what I say? But it seems like the more that something that we like, because I love the JRE, I've always liked it, okay? From Stupid Monkey to Joe Rogan's comedy, Fear Factor, I love all of it. I've always been a big supporter, okay? But it just seems like whenever we love something, and the more popular it gets, like the more diluted it gets, the more G-rated it has to be, so that everyone, no one will step on Joe Rogan's toes or whatever because he's so big now. I don't know. It's just a question that I ponder. Has his show changed so much now because of the popularity that he has? Or, you know what I mean? The same things that make the show popular sometimes could be its demise. And I'm not saying anything about the demise of JRE. I hope it goes on forever. There are scientists and fucking smart motherfuckers right now sitting down saying, how can we recreate this? And they can't do it because it's something that the motherfucker came up with out of his own brain. And he said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be different, and fuck everybody else. And it was a good formula. So far, it's worked for him. And I wish him all the luck. I'm just asking you all, my little maniacs, do you feel like the show's been a little bit deleted since it's gotten so popular? Does it seem more impersonal to you? Or does it seem just as personal as it has always been? And that's just something that, anytime someone gets popular, they want to try to tell them that they're shrill and stuff like that, which means that the message that they're saying is to just be like propaganda, or I don't know. I'm not saying any of these things, okay? I'm just bringing it up to try to make you little maniacs think about things a little bit before you just fucking believe every motherfucking thing you fucking see on the internet or that you hear through the grapevine, man. The little kid from fucking Life Goes On, or was it, no, The Wonder Years, the little best friend dude from The Wonder Years is not Marilyn Manson, right? John Benet Ramsey is not Taylor Swift. That's some shit that people came up with that said, learned this conspiracy theory. But definitely Bob Lazar has a very, very interesting story to tell. And I think it's told best out of his own mouth, his own words. And whenever he starts having issues with what he's trying to say, and then Jeremy Corbell has to take up talking, that's when I just kind of tune out. It seemed like I liked it because I did notice like the first 10-15 minutes Corbell didn't really say anything, and I was like, good, he's just kind of chill and let Joe Rogan knows that the real story is Bob Lazar, and to hear exactly what he says about it. And whenever they did start talking about this element 151 or whatever, Bob Lazar did go blank. and his head started to hurt. And Corbell jumped in, and the question, I believe, was, what year did they actually discover that this element existed? And then instead of just Corbell saying, I think 2004, might have been 2005, he went into like a big, long, a bunch of shit that you can tell that he researched for his film, and it happened to stick to his brain. These are not probably things that he just knows every day, but he tried to make it seem like that type, maybe a little Hollywood going on. Oh, man. So this is what I hope. We'll watch the rest. Like I said, I've listened to probably the first 20 to 30 minutes of the JRE number 1315. And what I hope happens now, at this point, at 30 minutes in, is that Bob Lazar has a drink. He smokes a big fatty Bo Batty with Joe Rogan. And Jeremy Corbyn can too. Jeremy Corbyn can go work out or something for the rest of the show, right? Just like, maybe that's why Bob Lazar is blanking out too. If he does that, he knows that Corbyn will go ahead and pick up the slack. And they're not, a comedy team. I don't know. If you want to know a bunch of interesting facts that the other guy researched for a movie, that's one thing. But if you want to know exactly from the horse's mouth what the fuck is going on, then the real interview is definitely with Bob Lazar. So maybe it is definitely in an effort to promote their movie. And because what Bob Lazar doesn't come cheap, as far as being an astrophysicist and all that kind of stuff, a microscientist. And it probably was a pretty big hit for him to, let's say if this is a true story, and he worked for the government, he was basically outed because he, had to go to a movie camera, do a television station, and do an interview. They recognize him from the interview, from his voice, and automatically he knows then that he's basically got to tell his story. He's got to stay out of the crosshairs of the U.S. government. And it would make for a very interesting documentary. And there may be one of those out someday. But you can check out the Bob Lazar, Area 51 and UFOs. And that's Jeremy Corbell's. But this is what I hope that Bob Lazar, Joe Rogan, smoke 2 big fatty Bo Batties, bong load, some of the THC spray under your tongue, a couple of shots of bourbon, and then they start really talking about what the fuck went on, what's going on, instead of just talking about the highlights and the point, this is Act 1, this is what happened, this is Act 2, this is the climax, and this is how it was concluded. We can all watch the movie and figure that out. And I think Joe knows. But the real interesting thing would be, what the fuck did they say at that conversation at dinner the other night? That's my question. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, definitely check out Big Brother 21 on CBS. And check out the Big Brother 21 Robcast on Spreaker Podcast. And also it'll be on all the other platforms that you can check out the regular Robcast on: Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I don't think we can't, for some reason we don't share the show on Instagram. I don't know why, but I'm not the technical guru here, and we're not reverse engineering any kind of technology here. We're just bringing you what we've got when we've got it. So really, basically, this is one show that turned out being part 1 and part 2. I don't like doing that, but we will this time. Check out the rest of the Joe Rogan Experience number 1315. Let me know what you think. It's a hot motherfucker here in Texas this summer, I can tell you that. It is hot. So the rain is a little bit of a blessing. At least my roof is not leaking, knock on wood. this time. But I did have a big tree fell over and crushed the motherfucking fence. So I'm going to have to get out there with the chainsaw and crush and cut that up, drag it to the curb, and then I hope my neighbors fix the fence, because it fucked up the cyclone fence, crushed it all the way down to the ground. That's life in the fast lane. We need to have the Robcast, needs to do the Robcast in our summer house in somewhere around Colorado. Say Denver, Colorado, Boulder, Colorado, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Widefield, Colorado. We definitely need to have us a cabin in Colorado. We can do some Robcasting from there. You hear me what I'm saying? Because A, it's way, way, way too hot in Texas. And B, it's way too hot in Texas for herbal refreshments. And they're legal in Colorado. So rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's about all the time we've got for today. So until tomorrow, y'all have a badass evening and an even better tomorrow. I'm Zombie. I'm out here for the day. Peace, fellas.